Well, it is time for Media Watch now, and James Creedon has joined me in the studio. Hello there, James. Good to see you.
Hi, Laura.
And you're taking us through reactions to one of the top stories we're covering tonight. This is, of course, a big headache for President Macron. His former bodyguard, Alexandra Benalla, who was taken into provisional custody last night. The man who was filmed beating up protesters at that May Day rally. An investigation ensued, went on for a long time. And today, the Senate say that the government has been trying to cover it all up.
I mean, it's pretty damning stuff. And I suppose Alexandra Benalla, when that video emerged of his participation in, I suppose, the May Day protests, dressed up as a police officer, I think it's clear to say it was a tipping point in Emmanuel Macron's presidency. Up to that point, he had been benefiting from the afterglow of his election, the kind of fresh young face in French politics. And from that point on, it's really been sort of difficulty after difficulty after difficulty. The scandal that Macron can't shake is the headline here in Reuters. And indeed, this cartoon shows Russian dolls. Indeed, it looks like what started as one scandal has led to, other issues such as fake diplomatic passports that weren't handed back after he left the Elysée palace, security contracts with a Russian oligarch. It just keeps going and going and going like a Russian doll. And that's even a reference to the fact that there were security contracts with Russian oligarchs. So it just doesn't reflect well at all on Emmanuel Macron and the Elysée. Benalla, this is a script worthy of a Hollywood film. We find more and more twists and turns, big private contracts, etc., etc. So you can see there that kind of image of somebody sort of glued to the screen. Somebody saying, when is the Netflix series going to come along? And actually, I really think this could happen. It does have all the elements to be not fictionalized, but dramatized at some point. Season 42, episode 253. So there's definitely a lot of people thinking, wow, how much more bizarre can this
He's the former bodyguard who just won't go away. And let's remember, he was suspended, not even fired, just suspended from his job for 2 weeks. And a lot of people got upset about that. That's right. Where it all started.
That's right.
All right.
And just quickly worth pointing out as well that the Elysée spokesperson sort of got caught, I suppose, a bit tongue-tied. He was saying, I find it quite curious that the Assembly has something to say on the organisation of the executive power. And then this journalist from Le Monde takes an article from the Constitution saying basically, well, that's what the Parliament is there to do, kind of counterpower. And others kind of saying that he was criticising the report, the government spokesman, without actually having read it. So that doesn't... He's
basically saying, give me some time to read this report and then I will come back.
That's right. And
I'll get back to you on that.
Some people then throwing quotes by Emmanuel Macron when all of this broke back at him, saying, because he said the buck stops with me, and people are saying, well, the buck is actually getting quite close to you now. So, could this actually go right to the top in terms of consequences? We'll have to wait and see.
All right, now the Me Too movement has reared its hashtag self once again, this time on the leg of a statue in Florida.
That's right. Now, this is a statue that commemorates a photo, which I think is very similar to the Le Baiser de l'Hôtel de Ville, this famous photo here by Duano on the left. They're both quite similar photos. But the one on the left actually was staged. It looks spontaneous, but it wasn't. So that shows you that photos, you never know what's really going on. This one here, the woman in question, who featured in that photo, in the photo on the right, Greta Zimmer-Friedman, said actually it wasn't consensual. He just grabbed me. He'd had a few drinks, but afterwards she did say that she didn't really mind. It was a jubilant act and whatnot. But it did she died, by the way, 2 years ago. But it did now, when he passed away, just in the last day or two, somebody kind of came along and daubed the statue with Me Too, which has led to various reactions. Some saying the statue of the iconic The Kiss was defaced. Activists don't care about history unless they're looking for something to destroy or reason to put themselves on a moral pedestal. Somebody else, I had another comment there, which was basically...
That's all right, we'll look at more kisses.
Which was fetting the moment. But there you go. It's some people finding maybe...
Well, it's part of this current trend, isn't it, of judging people in the past of not adhering to today's moral standards,
right.
I think, isn't it?
That's right. And the standards
seems to be happening all the time. Winston Churchill, John Wayne, I think is the
latest. The lady herself didn't mind, and she said as much. Her son said as much to the New York Times in 2005. One more story. I don't know if we have time.
Yeah, go on. Haircuts.
Let's roll these images if we can, because a barber in Hanoi, in Vietnam, is anticipating the arrival of Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. And he's offering, because of course they're both very poor gentlemen, he's offering free haircuts to both.
You can get a Trump or a Kim Jong-un.
He's going to, he's showing here, his talents and what he will be able to do for both heads of state. As I said, because they're both, it's a charitable offer because they're both very.
What would you go for? I think you'd be better off with the Trump one, wouldn't you, with your colouring?
Slightly closer to his colouring, but I think both of them need restyling. more than just the same cut.
That looks good. I like this one.
Yeah, so I'm all for both of them coming out of that summit looking entirely different.
Okay, time for a makeover, Donald, perhaps. All right, James. Thank you very much indeed. James Creedon there with Media Watch.